All right, so in this lesson, we're going to talk about patching. Now, again, patching is taking what we've done on our sheet where we've planned out and mapped where everything's going to go, all the analog inputs to the digital inputs and all that stuff, and actually going to our board, our console, and mapping all that in there so that way everything goes where it's supposed to go. So I've got here a SQ6 from Allen Heath, which is our main driver here at my church, and I've got an iPad here with the software open so that we can kind of see what we're doing. So we're actually here in the patch window. Now, what I've already done ahead of time is I've gone through my board and I've set up each channel, so 1 through 48 on my console for what I want it to be based off of my sheet. So my first one's kick in, then kick out, snare top, snare bottom, and so on and so forth. So I've already got all of those labeled here on my strips, and if you look here on my iPad, I've actually got all of those input channels listed here on the left side, all the way top to bottom. And then on the top here, I've got 1 through 32, and those correspond to currently the USB inputs because I'm actually going to be playing back from my multi-track. So if we were doing this with a live band here, I would be, I'd have up to however many channels I have available to me on my network of stage boxes. So for now, we're just looking at the input channels for USB. So again, so on the left side, I've got my channel processor. So I've got 48 of those on my board. And then the top is the channel inputs available from whatever source I've selected. So on top, you can see I've got local, I've got S-Link, which is going to be the stage box inputs. And then I've got my USB. And then there's also another one, IO port, which we're not using here. So we're going to look at USB. I've got a multi-track actually playing back in Reaper on another computer. So we are actually going to look at how that patched into this board here. It's the same thing with how we would patch it with our physical IO on stage. It's just 1 for 1. So input 1 on the stage, if it's my kick in, which it should be, because that's how we patched it on our sheet, and that's how we patched it out the rack, should be input 1 for my kick. So like I have here, I've got kick in is on 1, kick out on 2, snare top on 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So it's pretty straightforward, actually. It's not much of other than just matching what you have with the numbers on your sheet to where the inputs are on your board. So for example here, I've also got some stereo ones here, and you can see on this console, it automatically links them as left and right. So overheads 7 and 8 are my inputs for the left and right, and it automatically ties them together. So if I were to actually shift this around, you can see it shifts around in pairs, and it automatically does it in that it's odd, even, odd, even. So I always recommend doing odd even for your stereo pairs on your board. So if you have to move things around to do that, it's probably for the best, because honestly, odd even is usually always how it's going to be on just about any board. So that's pretty much the easiest way to explain patching, is as simple as this. Look at your sheet, understand what you're wanting to go into your board and where it needs to go, where it needs to come from on your stage, and where it needs to go into input processing wise. Now, like I said before, I actually took the time to go ahead and label all of my channels. But let me show you how I did that real fast. So on the iPad here, I've got my kick in here, and on this example here, I can just tap on kick in and I can actually label the channel. And I know that it's actually the first channel for processing, because if you look in the top left-hand corner here, it says IP1, which is my input processor 1. And if I were to go to bass, it's number 10. If I were to go to pads, it's number 19 and 20, because I have those stereo linked. So again, all it takes is just looking at your sheet that you've already planned, you've already done the work. Now it's as simple as just plugging things into where they need to go. So if your kick is on 1 on your stage and you want it on input processor 1 on your board, then it should be as simple as, hey, look at input number 1 and look at the stage box and look at input 1 there, connect those two, and that's where everything needs to go.